Hello and welcome back to Slice of Mike. I have a special surprise for you today. I'm not a very good singer. This cover should look familiar to you. This is Holly Black's The Darkest Part of the Forest, out tomorrow. And having read it, I figured I would save you guys some time. I can discuss it a little bit. Obviously, I'm not giving away any details. So let's start by talking about the plot of the book. In The Darkest Part of the Forest, there are two main characters named Hazel and Ben. They are brother and sister, and they live in a town called Fairfold, which was built right on the edge of a deep and mysterious forest, said to be home to the Fairfolk, although people don't really see too much of them. They only catch glimpses. The Fairfolk obviously are fairies and other manner of magical and terrifying creatures. The town of Fairfold has an agreement with the fairies saying that they're not going to harm any of the humans who live in the town. However, there are a great deal of tourists, it's a hard word to say, drawn to Fairfold for a very specific reason, which I'll get to later. And the tourists, the fairies say, are fair game, and weird things often happen to the tourists. They go missing, their bodies show up by a lake half-eaten. It's pretty morbid stuff. The title has the word dark in it, so obviously it's going to be a little horrific. But the part that I can't wrap my mind around is that people still visit the town knowing full well that one or two people go missing every year and never show up again. I think I'd rather skip the creepy fairies that kill people and just go to Las Vegas or something, personally. But that's just me. I know there are some real daredevils out there. That's probably your place. Go check Fairfold out, if it were real. The book's two main characters, like I said, are Hazel and Ben. They're brother and sister. Supposedly they're named after famous rabbits, although I don't know which rabbits they're named after. I believe they're 15 or 16 when the book takes place. They're both in high school. Ben is a year older. He's also a musical prodigy, but his gift is related to the fairies, so it's both a gift and a curse. His music playing abilities are so good that he can actually affect people around him in different ways. He has so much natural talent bursting from him that he can't ignore it, and it kind of causes problems once he gets older. Hazel, on the other hand, does not have any artistic talent, and that drives a wedge between her and her parents. They sadly ignore her for most of her childhood, which leads her to go exploring in the forest, which is not a good idea when you live in a forest filled with fairies. God, people. When Hazel is about 11, she learns that she has a really strong gift for killing fairies, and she becomes a fairy hunter. Hazel and Ben become a sort of crime-fighting duo. Ben puts fairies in a musical trance, and Hazel just comes up and slashes them across her face. I know which part of that duo I would be. But being 11 and 12, surprise, they come up against a creature who is more powerful than them, which leads Ben to say, nope, we can't do this anymore, it's too dangerous. Hazel's like, I don't want to stop, Ben, it's too much fun. And Ben's like, no, we gotta stop, Hazel, it's just too dangerous. We can't handle it. So Hazel is sad about her brother putting an end to the fairy hunting. So one day she goes into the forest and makes a wish at a very powerful tree to a deity known as the Alder King, who's the leader of the fairies. And her wish is for Ben to get better at music so that they can hunt fairies again. So thanks to her wish, Ben gets into a music school in Philadelphia, and the whole family temporarily moves to Philadelphia for 2 years. Ben falls in love with this guy at school, and Hazel gets jealous, and there's kind of this sexual tension between the three of them, not the brother and sister, obviously. And then one day the guy breaks up with Ben, and Ben goes into a depressive phase. Hazel goes to school to pick Ben up, and this guy kisses Hazel, and Ben sees it and goes crazy. So what does Ben do? He slams his fingers into the door, preventing him from ever playing music again. So with Ben's music career over, the family moves back to Fairfold, and right around that time, strange things start happening with an even greater frequency. Not only do people go missing, but now their bodies show up drained of blood, half-eaten, with vines growing out of their mouths, various demises, and the townspeople sense that something sinister is growing in the forest. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a very specific reason that tourists come to Fairfold, and that is because in the middle of the forest, there's a glass coffin with the body of a boy in it. Initially that led me to believe that this was going to be a retelling of Snow White, and I was excited about that. It doesn't end up being that way at all, but it's okay. He has pointy ears, so he's clearly an elf in some sort of enchanted sleep. People try to come and wake him up, break him out of the coffin, but it's unbreakable, so no one can. Hazel and Ben visit the coffin on an almost daily basis. They're both in love with the prince, as they call him, although they've never had a conversation with him, so that's how love works. Rather than driving them apart, that's always been a bond between them, their mutual love for this prince. But when they move back and strange things start happening, the prince suddenly vanishes, and nobody knows why. The coffin is broken. So there's a mystery of where the prince went and what sort of dealings he's involved with. Fairies aren't essentially good creatures, so people are kind of scared of him. So the rest of the book just snowballs from there, and I think I gave you a pretty good chunk of the story so far. There are twists, obviously, so I haven't given anything away. Before I get into what I thought of the book, let me just say that I've never read a Holly Black book before, mostly because I thought she didn't write things that would appeal to me, although after reading this, I think I've been wrong for a long time. So with this book being my first excursion into the land of Holly Black, I have to say I was pretty impressed. Her character spoke in this confident adolescent voice that was sometimes whiny and emotional, and it felt really real to me. Hazel's really funny. She likes to kiss boys and then just run away and avoid talking to them, which is some people's MO. Not mine. Don't point fingers at me. Her brother is gay, and it's really great to have a gay character as one of the central figures of a YA story. I know it's becoming increasingly common to have gay characters in TV shows and books, but oftentimes they're kind of just stuck on the sidelines, so it was really great to have Ben tell his part of the story alongside Hazel. And the other cool thing about that is that nobody makes a big deal out of him being gay in the book. It's just accepted. He doesn't think he's any different than anybody else. He's just, you know, a guy who likes guys. Sadly, I know that's not the way a lot of people feel in real life, but it was good to have that kind of support in the book, at least, for Ben. And my hope is that when young gay people read this book, they'll feel some of that support for themselves, too, and kind of internalize that self-confidence that Ben has. If I was rating this book, I would give it 4.5 stars. It didn't blow me away, but books don't have to blow you away to be entertaining. I love reading about fairy tales and fairies, and this is a really good book. It reminded me a lot of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, if you've read that. And I also loved that there was a gay character, and he was represented really well, and he was an awesome person. But at the same time, I wasn't changed in the end by this book. It didn't really cause me to think any differently about life or people. It was really entertaining, and it went by super quick, so I would recommend this to everybody, and I'm saying when this comes out tomorrow, you should go pick it up. This book got me in the mood to read other dark fairy tales, so if you guys have any recommendations for books that might be similar to this, but a little bit different, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments section. And if you've read other Holly Black books, let me know what to read next, because I'm kind of at a loss. But yeah, that's all for now, and I hope you guys were just a teensy bit entertained/informed by this video. If you were, feel free to leave a like or subscribe if you want. And I'll be back on Friday with another video, probably gonna be a book haul, so get pumped! So until then, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye!